What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you don't know me, my name is Shane and this is the Shane Show. Alright guys, in today's video we're going to do some work on the 33. If you have not seen the last couple of videos, you need to go back and watch those right now before you watch this video so it all makes sense. It ended up firing last week. It started and then I shut it off and it didn't start. So that's frustrating. So I have literally ripped apart the entire car as far as wiring goes. Check all this out right here. So went through and checked every single wire that was plugged into the ECU. What's crazy is that the car started and then after I shut it off about 20 minutes after cooling it off, it didn't start back up. Fuel pump relay was clicking, going on and off. I've talked to multiple people, even called an AEM rep earlier this week to see what was going on. They want me to send the ECU back. However, there is one trick that might work in fixing the ECU. Two things are going to happen. Either ECU is fried, which hopefully is not the case, or I'm going to go ahead and actually unplug every sensor in the car except for power and ground to the ECU and see if I can get this ECU to go into a reset mode. And if that happens, then we should be good to go. But it's really frustrating. I've probably spent about 20 hours just trying to figure out what the issue is. Like I said, talked to AEM, talked to a couple of friends who tune cars, and this is basically the last resort. So unplug every single sensor except for power and ground in the car. We're going to connect it to the laptop and see if it connects, because what's happening right now is you go ahead and plug it into the laptop and it's not even recognizing that the ECU is there. Fuel pump relay is clicking on and off. Went ahead and checked out the relay on the fuel pump, put in a different one. That seems to be working fine. And then the other thing that happened was put in the old ECU, the power FC, and the fuel pump were just fine. Something definitely with the ECU, not with the wiring, which makes me feel good. But if something happened with the ECU, it doesn't make me feel good, because then that means that the wiring's not good and it probably fried it somehow. So I'm hoping that it's in limp mode or whatever it is, reset mode, and we just got to jumper it and fix it. So let's get to it. Okay, so we have to undo probably the fuel pump, these relays, all of these sensors here in the fuel pump. Battery's disconnected for right now. We are also going to want to disconnect the CAS, the TP, the throttle position sensor, the air intake temperature sensor underneath that I put in, the map sensor, all the injectors and the coil packs, and basically any other sensor that I can find that I need to unplug that's not connected to the ECU. So fingers crossed that this works. Let's get into it. I have to say that unplugging sensors is definitely not something fun to do. So I'm not looking forward to this whatsoever because of things like that. It's difficult to put back in, but it's just not fun to disconnect all the sensors in the car. So after all the sensors are unplugged, I have to take the circuit board out of the housing on the ECU. Then there's two circuits inside on the circuit board that I'm gonna have to jumper, which is power and ground, and hopefully it'll reset it. Those are instructions per AEM on their Series 2 ECUs. When you go in and in this tuner software, it does have you reset it or reprogram it or jump it, because sometimes it goes into this mode. No idea why. It could be from the drop in battery voltage or something like that, but I kind of hope that this will work. Actually, I really hope this will work. I don't want to have to send this back. Alright, so cam angle sensor is unplugged, all of the coil packs, the injectors, it's not official unless you're bleeding, and braking sensors. So I'm going to have to fix this one right there. So got all that unplugged, have this unplugged, throttle position sensor, the map sensor, the air intake temperature sensor, have some oil sending unit sensors down here, the IAC valve was unplugged, VVT solenoid also unplugged. So I think we're just about unplugged all the way around. I think I've counted 14 or 15 sensors that are all unplugged. So we're going to go ahead and disassemble the ECU. So it is now time to disassemble the ECU. We're going to take this cover off, get the circuit board out, still leave everything here connected. You can see, you guys, how much I've been trying to get this wiring fixed. Even tried these relays here and all that. So take this off. Let's do that real quick. Alright, so with the harness unplugged, you're going to want to take out that side, all the bolts in here, all the bolts in there, and then you're going to slide out the circuit board. Also, clean your hands. You don't want to get anything on the circuit board once you take it apart, so I'm going to be laying down a cloth right here too, so when I set it on there it should be good. And then I'll pull up the laptop and show you guys the instructions of how to jump it and reset it. So let's get it apart. One thing to note is once you do this, it is going to void the warranty, so don't do this once you take those stickers off. It's done. So don't do this. Also, I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy in a garage doing some random stuff. So if you want to follow me, that's fine. But we're going to go ahead and slide this out now that I got the cover off. But again, voids the warranty, so just be aware of that if you have to reset it. And you're actually supposed to be on the phone with the AEM rep when you do this, but I feel like I know what I'm doing, so I'm going to try it. Okay, so the ECU is out. This is what it looks like. I already did take it apart once because I wanted to inspect it to see if I fried it at one point. I didn't see anything. These two right there is the ones that you're going to be jumping from underneath. I'm just going to hook up something to jump them real quick. And then what you're going to do is I'll show you in the instructions. You're going to hook up the laptop. But I inspected this really well and I didn't see anything wrong with it. But again, I'm not a ECU circuit board expert. Just by looking at it, just couldn't tell if there's anything fried. It should be pretty obvious, but it might not be. So I'm going to go ahead and go this route and just try one last resort. So I'm setting it currently on top of the casing, and again, you just want to make sure that you're not going to be touching anything that you shouldn't, and make sure that your hands are clean. So let's get a jumper wire. Alright, so I got the software opened. What you're going to want to do is go into ECU, and then you're going to go down to Clear EMS Firmware. When you click on that, it's going to give you a warning. It's just going to say saying that it must be removed from the vehicle, and the only pins to be connected are power and ground, which I've disconnected everything from the car. It's just power and ground. So, and then it says it is not recommended here unless you're instructed by an AEM employee. I'm not instructed by an AEM employee, but I'm just going to do it anyway. And click understand, and you click next, and then it gives you a series of instructions. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and jump that right there. You're going to remove it from the case and then put a jumper cover these pins. Now it looks like they have one. I didn't get something there. It says place a jumper on the main processor board. I didn't get that, so what I'm going to do is just put a wire and connect the two in there, and then it says before connecting, exit AEM Tuner, AEM Pro, any software that may use serial port. So then you're going to power the computer just by turning it on, and then connect it. It says using serial port only, not a USB. I don't have a USB or a serial port. I'm just going to use the USB and see what happens. And then you'll go through here and do the certain things. So what we're going to do says do not perform the procedure with it connected to a vehicle. All outputs including coils, injectors may turn on for extended length of time even during upload of new firmware and calibration. So basically what this is doing, we are clearing the firmware on the ECU, and then we're going to upload new firmware and kind of recalibrate it. Hopefully that'll reset it. So basically we're just resetting the firmware on the computer. So if you look closely right there, those are going to be the two that we're going to connect. Alright, so as you can see right there, I have the jumper wire on. It's connected, kind of like a home thing. So what we're going to do next is we're going to plug this into the harness and then plug it into the laptop. Alright guys, so got the ECU jumper wire on there, got it connected to the USB, got the laptop pulled up there. So what we're going to do is connect the battery real quick. Got that up there, so battery's connected, so we're good there. What we're going to do is turn the key in the on position. ECU should get power. We're going to go ahead and connect the USB into and see if we can clear the firmware. Now the problem I was having before was the ECU wasn't even connecting to the laptop. I wasn't getting any power at all. So hopefully this time around we should get some power and then be able to reset this firmware. Alright, so let's see what happens. Ignition on. You guys hear that clicking? Means that the fuel relay is still clicking. Not a good sign. Port could not be opened. I hate to say it, but I think that the ECU is bad, which then concerns me because why did that happen after it was running perfectly fine the other day? I don't know what to do now. Alright guys, well that's a huge bummer that I wasn't able to get the ECU to connect after doing the jumper and trying to reset the firmware, so that tells me that the ECU is probably fried or something in there, which that concerns me because remember I started the car last week, ran it for 20 minutes, everything worked perfectly fine, I was all excited, I was going to post that video, so I checked the timing and all that stuff. After it was warmed up, everything was absolutely perfect, sounded amazing, shut the car off, was going to let it cool for 20 to 30 minutes, and then I was going to start it back up again just to double check the timing after it gets warmed up, and I went to do that and the fuel pump relay was clicking. So it wasn't connecting to the computer at all, and it's just been a nightmare since then. I've been spending a week trying to do it. Tried all the different scenarios, so I'm just going to have to send it back to AEM and see what they find. But the biggest thing that's concerning is why would it have happened in the first place if everything was good. I've double checked all the wiring and it looks all good, so I'm not sure what it could be, but it's kind of concerning that just because I started the car and then shut it off, ECU got fried maybe, I don't know. I was all excited too to post that video last week of it starting up and share it with you guys. I was so pumped, I even yelled in the garage, I was like, yes, it started, and now it's back to this car life. I'm gonna keep saying that, it's car life, sucks. So anyways, more to come next time around. Hopefully I'll have the ECU back after I send it out to AEM. They can confirm what's wrong. They're super close. I live in Phoenix, they're in California, so it shouldn't take long to get there and then tell me what's going on with it. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It's kind of a sad video in a way, but more content to come, and then also I'll post when we get the ECU back and get this going. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe. Check out the other video. Also, if you guys haven't done so, check out the video of this Corvette. It's a very special gift that I gave to my parents, so you need to check that out. But just like that, Shane Shows out. Peace.